Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth Newsom and welcome to my BookTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you my top 3 ways to get story inspiration. So people ask me all the time how I get ideas for writing or inspiration for my story. And there are primarily 3 different ways that are really good ways that you can get inspiration. So the first way is just to write down ideas that come to you, because in truth, I think every single person in the world has some sort of story idea. We all think of something or see something and then think, oh, that would kind of make a really cool story. Or I wonder what it'd be like to have a story with this, or someone should write a story like with this thing in it. And the only difference between me and other people is not how many story ideas we come up with or how marketable they are, but I just take the time to write mine down. So I actually have this little notebook. I tried looking for it. I can't find it right now, but I have tons of story ideas written down in it. And I remember one in particular. I got this inspiration by looking at this Pink Floyd shirt, which has this prism in it, right? And white light comes in one side, and then the rainbow comes out the other side. So pretty basic, but I started to think about how a prism tends to twist light. Like it starts out as white light, and a prism doesn't actually create its own light, but it just changes that light so that we can see the whole spectrum and all the colors. And I started to think about the comparison of good and evil like that, because with evil there are kind of 2 different philosophies. Either you can say that evil is just the absence of good, or evil is taking something that was originally good and twisting it. Like take having the authority figure as your father. That can be a very healthy good thing, and that's how it's intended to be, with the father as the spiritual leader of the family. And I know a lot of people on this are going to comment that maybe that's like not gender equality, or maybe that's kind of an antiquated view. And I think why people are so opposed to it is because men, father figures, have abused that so much in the past. Like they've taken this original design, which is good, and it's kind of been twisted into something that's not good. So all that to say is sometimes evil is just taking something good and twisting it. So I thought, what if there's this evil race of people who are called the prisms, who are able to take light and then distort it and do all these things with it? And what if there's this other group of people who can only create light, but they can't really change that light? So that's a story idea that I would eventually like to pursue. And then, like I said, I have other story ideas written on my phone. Like, one story idea is, what if the enchantress fell in love with the beast? That's a Beauty and the Beast retelling idea. Or like an idea where there's this thief who's actually a very gentle-hearted thief who brings dogs treats or is really good with dogs. Or I was reading this book about Hades, and it wasn't Persephone, but it was a girl the fates had created to be his bride. And I thought, what if there's a bride specifically made for some sort of like really powerful supernatural being, like that represents death, like Hades, and she's specifically designed for him so that she suits him, and she's he thinks that no one is more beautiful than she is. But what if she's specifically designed to be his downfall and eventually as a means to kill him? So that is another story idea I would like to pursue. And I'm not really scared of sharing my story ideas, because actually I'll address that at the end of this video, but trust me, story ideas are honestly a dime a dozen, and there's a lot more important things to consider when writing a book than the story idea. So the second way is to look at stories that have already been written and tweak them. I gave an example of that when I said that I read that one story. It was a online story, I think on Wattpad, about how the fates designed this girl specifically to be Hades' wife. And so my thought on it was, well, what if she was not only designed to be his wife, but also designed to be his downfall? Because I think that would be really interesting. And as any of my readers know, I absolutely love assassins. So really, all you have to do is find inspiration from another story, like a movie or a book, and if you like the concept, just take it and tweak it a bit. And again, with really broad ideas, it's not something that people can copyright. Like vampire romances, for example. Twilight obviously can't copyright that, or the or the author can't copyright that. So, you know, if you like the idea of vampire romances, use some ideas from that story. Or again, the whole point, just start with someone else's story and then think how you could make it better or what kind of twists you'd like to see in it. The third and final idea is to use writing prompts. Writing prompts are a great way to find story ideas. Actually, one of my favorite books, which is The Girl Who Could See by Kara Swanson. I read this on the plane ride back from a conference, and I read it all during the plane ride, and by the end of the book I was crying just because it was so sweet and wonderful. But it's a brilliantly written novel, and it's based off of this writing prompt, which says, "They say every child had an imaginary friend, mine never left." And so it's about this girl who sees this other world where there are these crazy things happening, buildings are crumbling, and there's some sort of giant monster there. And there's this guy who she keeps seeing who keeps warning her about the monster coming into her world. But she thinks that she's delusional, and her problem is that she keeps on seeing visions of this world during the middle of her day. So she's a waitress and she's about to serve these people their stuff, and then she sees like a building crashing down and all this stuff, so she spills the things everywhere, and so she has trouble holding a job and she thinks she's crazy. But yeah, the concept is that there's this guy who's her imaginary friend, and it's really, really adorable because also he's a love interest, and it's really great, and just talking about it makes me want to read it all over again. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, story ideas are a dime a dozen. And while story ideas are important for some marketing, you're not going to get anywhere with just a good story idea. Because there are plenty of poorly written novels with very marketable story ideas that just don't go anywhere. And that's why I'm not afraid of telling anyone about some of my story ideas, because sure, you can write it, but you probably can't write it as well as I can. At least most people couldn't. So while story ideas are important, again, story ideas are so easy to come up with. All you need to do is look up a good writing prompt, and what's a far bigger issue is the writing itself and making sure it's well written and well edited. So there you guys have the top 3 ways to get story inspiration. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, because I post one bookish writing related video a week, although sometimes it's just like a lifestyle type video about things I'm learning and going through. And as always, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know some of your best story ideas and how you've come up with them. So let me know down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!